Well, back here with another edition of the Coach's Corner, head coach Steve Johnson. Coach, first off, really big win this past weekend against Concordia in pretty dominant fashion, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. After a week like that, how do you move on from a dominant performance and get to the next battle?
Right. It's the week was intense in just so many ways, and we even had as I think back, Monday and Tuesday, I think, were just like gorgeous days, summer. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, Wednesday's like freezing and windy, and so we had a lot of things there. But sometimes those are little distractions that you got to fight through stuff, and that's what football practice is, kind of fighting through stuff and trying to do your job in the midst of turmoil. And going into the game, we just said that we need to do things right. We need to do our job over and over and over at a high level. Get to what all the things that we always do. I was really proud of our guys. It was a huge football game. When the stakes are high, and they were,
yep.
It's tight. You get tight, and trying to be that intense and grow and do things right. White football calls a lot out of you, because you're trying to do things right in the midst of a storm, and they, Concordia doesn't like us, and they're a good team. They're really tough up front. We just had to battle those things. I was really proud of the guys for staying in, not shrinking, but also not, getting where we can get, ahead of ourselves. We just need to do our job and stay in that thing. And it was really a rewarding win, but it was a hard-fought deal.
Yeah, I think rewarding win is probably the best way to put it, because of how hard you guys fought. I mean, it can't overlook Joey Kidder, 16 catches, a single game record. Yeah. We talked about it after the game, to have Micah Newell do it at Gustavus to tie the record, and then to have another receiver break that record again 2 games later. It's pretty much a testament both to your offensive line to give Jaron Rosti time to make those throws, and then your wide receiver core to make catches like that.
Yeah, and the unsung heroes in the midst of that, and Rosti wouldn't be unsung, but, he's a common denominator. Yep. But what you brought up is a great point. Our offensive line doing a great job. Our backs running hard, but also in the protection. And even the other receivers that, Gabe Ante is just having an amazing year, and Aaron Ellingson. These guys, all of them, mm-hmm. Are, they're guys that could get 15 catches and important pieces and great plays. And it was just it was a cool deal. And it's not, we ran the ball well, mm-hmm. and they don't give that up. We kind of took what they gave us, so our plan was good. But man, we just made a lot of plays that when there were some ridiculous catches, it wasn't all, Jaron was on, but man, it wasn't all him.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about it last week. You talked about on the defensive side of the ball, that pressure, and to be able to hold Concordia to 7 points, and then nothing in the second half, that touchdown coming just before the break on a pretty nice play that went over 30 yards, a catch at the 1-yard line. Your defense just played flat out amazing again, especially coming in with a battle of 2 really good red zone defenses.
Yeah, and you know what? It was it didn't feel like at the time. It didn't feel. I was kind of ticked. You know what I mean? Because it kept the game tight. Because we were about to get the ball back. We had a flag, a penalty that hurt us, and mm-hmm. and Matt Feldick had a great hit. But it bordered in this day and age on
right.
It wasn't targeting, but it was unnecessary roughness according to the officials, and we want to try to avoid those things. But the good news, we always say that everything's a gift. The good news in that we saw how bad it hurt us, mm-hmm. because 2 plays later, and it's about 2 minutes left. We could go in because we're hot,
right?
And if they give us the ball, and that's what Concordia is good at, keeping it away. Well, we give them another shot instead. If we didn't get that penalty, we're probably going in. It's 24-0,
right?
And it's a little easier setting, if and but. What happened was 2 plays later, they get it to the 2. Then we had a goal line part where it didn't go as I was pretty irritated during the week, and our guys know. And we've got to be better at the goal line. So that's where the gift comes in. I don't like giving up 7 points. I don't like giving up anything. If they earn it, fine, but I don't want to give it up. And we gave it up with the penalty. We gave it up with the long ball. And then we weren't as good on the goal line as I want us to be. And so that the gift of that is, man, we see that, let's go. We gotta identify those things and do things well and do things right. And really, the score, I think the score was pretty indicative of the game as we went great, but it didn't feel that way because we kind of had a shower of points at the end of the third and the beginning of the fourth.
Right, yeah. No, that offense rolling 423 yards from Rosti in the air, second most in a single game by a Bethel passer. So now you look forward, you have to travel to Macalester. Haven't played on the road at Macalester since the, probably late 90s, early 2000s, now that they're back in the league. And it's really a win that could really solidify, a top of the Skyline division and kind of take that question out of it, right, which is Augsburg remaining after that. But obviously you have to prepare, how you guys prepare. You talk about all the time. You got to go in and play your game and being able to do that against a really good passing offense, obviously, in Macalester.
Yeah, you're right. That was going through my head as you said that. We don't look ahead, and you can't not, and I get it, and that's those things, but because it's real.
Right.
The hugeness of the Concordia game is the loser is probably not going to be able to win because they're going to be a game and a half behind in the division. So is not be able to play for that championship game. So we don't want to be thinking out there because when you need to keep getting back to it. It's not wrong to go there, but you got to keep getting back to this. It's not who you play, it's how you play.
Right.
So that said, Macalester, we have great respect for him. Even through COVID, we've been able to do some scrimmage type things with those guys. So we're really glad that they're back in the league. And again, we haven't played there in a long time, but we've had scrimmages for about 10 years over there a lot because we can help each other's teams. And so a lot of respect for Phil. I can't say his last name, so anyway, that's how I go with Phil. Sorry. But he's a great guy. He's a brand new coach, and a lot of the coaches are back, so they've kept some continuity there. But their quarterback is lights out. He's a stud. He's a big time player. He's got good movement. He doesn't run like Rosti, but he moves like Rosti. Unbelievable arm. Good receivers. They're not as deep as us. I don't think they're as fast as us. So we've got some advantages in those things. But they're dangerous, and it's a neat challenge. That's the joy of it is, man, it's going to be a fun day and a fun game, and the every time we get to play, man, it's a gift.
Well, you talked about those unique challenges, and you guys have seen it throughout the year. The beauty of this football team, I think, especially this year, that makes it special is how deep you guys can be. If one guy gets injured in the middle of the game, one guy can't step up, you have that next guy to step up, whether that's at, I think about this past week with Kamari Dermis out, and you see some freshman corners out there making big-time plays and get you really excited about what's to come. Nick Kruger got some touches earlier in the year with Bryce Kunkel being out for a little bit. Micah Newald comes out, and then you got Joey Kidder, and you got some other sophomore wide receivers to step in. Just having that depth, especially this late in the season, has to be nice to have for you guys.
It really is, and we have not had a injury-free situation, and it's really hard for me because I've been here so long. I never would want to even say the best team, had blah blah blah. But we've got a lot of weapons. Our defense is amazing, but I would say it's the deepest. We have 105 guys, and they're all pretty good, and so we're excited about that deal, and that really does help us with the teams that aren't quite as developed. And but like this week, I don't think Kunkel's going to be able to play. But maybe David Jeebley can be back, but we've got Nick Kruger for Pete's sake. And so there's just guys, kind of, just like you said, Cam goes out, another guy comes in, it's the next guy in. And it's, I'm going to say this, it's a tribute to our coaches that they have done a great job. You don't prepare, 3 starters for 3 for 2 at a position.
Right.
You prepare a group of men, and they can plug in, they know what to do. Some might do it better than others, but boy, when it's your opportunity, boom, here we go. And that's a tribute to good relationships, but also good teaching.
Yeah, well, one last point. We've talked about it behind the scenes a little bit, but kind of just the history this team can make here. Obviously, Jaron Rosti moves up into second all-time passing. Now 389 yards away from passing, probably him and Rosti would love to go see a throw battle between Scott Kirkhoff and Jaron Rosti before he possibly moves over Kirkhoff for all-time passing. And on the defensive side, Matthew Feldick about a couple tackles away from moving into our top 10 all-time. Just the guys on this team that make plays and are going to be a part of this Bethel rich tradition history just has to be exciting for you.
It really is. And these guys, and they're great guys, and our quarterbacks that we've had, I think about Eric Peterson, I'll leave somebody out, I'll go here, but Acri and Wetzel and Trent Anderson all the way back to that, and guys in between, John Ebert. These guys they're humble, they're happy-hearted, tough guys. They don't act like they're cool guy quarterbacks. And Rosti, same thing. He's a nut. And it's a cool deal. And these guys, they're loved. They're competitors, but they're not nuts. You know what I mean? And it is really it's a beautiful thing and a cool part. It's a huge part of the fabric of our program.
Yeah. Well, we're guaranteed to have another great fall Saturday of football, this time just up the road on Snelling Avenue. Kickoff is going to be at 1 o'clock in St. Paul. Royals and Scots will take it on. More coverage at BethelRoyals.com.
Can't wait.